afternoon. Welcome to the Town of Riverhead Planning Board. Today is Thursday, April 21st. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Seeing that we have no public hearings today, we're going to go right to our discussion items. And the first item is Carl Gabrielson, Chapter 219, with Greg Bergman.
Thank you. I believe we have one of the applicant's representatives, Dennis Cole, here. He's an environmental professional who provided to design the plans, if the board has any questions. So this is a Chapter 219 application seeking approval to construct a 145 linear foot armor stone rock revetment wall consisting of 2 to 3 ton armor stone with a 10-foot return on the east, which ties into an existing bulkhead on the west end, to install terracing and bluff plantings along the bluff face, and to extend the existing planted berm at the top of the slope by 52 feet in length, 15 feet in width, and 1 foot in height in order to prevent storm water from going over the top of the bluff. Subject property is located at 526 Sound Shore Road in Jamesport within the RA 40 zoning use district, and is more particularly described as Suffolk County Tax Map 600-7-1-25.2. Property is presently improved with a single-family residence and related improvements, including beach access stairs. The applicant has received a New York State DEC permit for the proposed improvements under Article 25 Title Wetlands, which is valid through October of 2026. Proposed action is an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA with no negative impacts anticipated, as it serves to prevent further bluff erosion. As such, staff recommends the board assume lead agency without the need for coordinated review and issue a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA. We did receive comments from the town's consulting engineer. In a memo dated March 18th, he took no objection to the proposed improvements. As far as material staging areas and beach access, the applicant's plan identifies that he's going to be utilizing a neighboring property for storage. That's located at 474 Sound Shore Road.
East or west?
It's located to the west of the subject property. The applicant's contractor will also need to cross the northwest corner of another neighboring property, identified as Suffolk County Tax Map 600-7-1-21. The applicant has received owner's endorsements from both of those neighboring property owners for the utilization of their properties. And once they get on the beach, they will be crossing below the mean high water mark, as required by town code. So that being that they're not traversing any public beach, there is no need for a hold harmless agreement. This one's pretty straightforward. No other comments, no other objections, unless the board has any questions.
Quick question, this isn't going to inhibit the public's ability to use a beach in any way?
No, sir, it's all going to be constructed on their property, and again, once they're going to be crossing below the mean high water mark with the vehicles, so no limit to beach access.
Okay. Anyone have anything else? No? All right, thank you. We'll now move on to 680 Elton Street, alteration and change of use. That's with Greg again.
If everyone could just identify themselves for the record, please.
Charles Cuddy, the attorney for the applicant.
Neil Hoffman from Hoffman Grayson Architects.
Jacqueline Peranto, Key Civil Engineering, site engineer for the project.
Andrew Weiss, Signature Partners, applicant.
Thank you. All right, so what we have is a site plan application which is seeking approval to perform facade renovations as well as site improvements, including parking, landscaping, lighting, and drainage upgrades, as well as to change the use of an existing vacant 73,000 commercial building, square foot commercial building. Proposed tenants include a firearms training facility, which will occupy approximately 21,500 square feet of the building, an HVAC supply warehousing and distribution operation, which will also occupy about 21,500 square feet, as an office use with an as-of-yet unidentified tenant to take the remaining approximately 30,000 square feet. Subject property is located at 680 Elton Street on the northwest corner of the intersection of East Main Street and Elton Street within the Commercial Residential Campus Zoning Use District. Property is approximately 11 acres in size, has approximately 775 feet of frontage on Elton Street and approximately 140 feet of frontage on East Main Street. The building was previously known as was used by a company called Luxfer Magtech, which was a industrial manufacturing operation. Surrounding area is predominantly residential, with several residential properties located between the subject property and Elton Street, and there's a residential neighborhood located to the north of the subject property. The property contains approximately 211,000 square feet of wooded areas, and also contains portions of significant wetlands near its westernmost property boundary. In terms of SECRA, the proposed action is an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA, with coordinated review being optional and not recommended. Staff's reviewed the site plan application, the site plan drawings, and the short environmental assessment form, as well as a document prepared by Geiler and Associates LLC dated March 8th, 2022, entitled Acoustic Recommendations, Schematic Design, Riverhead Long Island Training Academy. I'll get into that document further, but staff finds that the proposed reuse of the existing commercial building while incorporating the acoustic design methods detailed in that report is not anticipated to have any significant negative environmental impacts. As such, the staff recommends the board assume lead agency status and issue a negative declaration. Regarding the use of the property in zoning, within the CRC zoning use district permits indoor sports and recreation facilities. Town Code 211-1 does include shooting ranges as a indoor recreation facility. So it's basically an as-of-right use for the firearms training facility. Regarding the warehousing distribution portion of the building, the applicant made an application to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special exception to go from one pre-existing non-conforming use to another use. They were granted that special exception by appeal number 2021-048, dated December 9th, 2021. And the remainder of the building, the office portion, is a permitted use as of right, so there's no zoning conflicts there. Regarding the acoustic recommendations in the report I mentioned, they detail a number of specifics regarding the aspects of building construction, including range wall construction, ceiling construction, box-in-box construction, general construction guidelines, sound insulating partitions, as well as electrical installations. And based on the design recommendations contained within the report, the proposed project design is not anticipated to exceed 60 decibels during the day and 45 decibels at night at the property line as required by town code, and is not anticipated to exceed 55 decibels at a radius of 100 feet from the exterior of the building. There are some New York State DEC freshwater wetlands and Town of Riverhead freshwater wetlands located at the western edge of the property. They're identified as Town of Riverhead freshwater wetlands number 2609 and New York State DEC freshwater wetland number R3. This area is also known as Sawmill Creek. The existing wetlands are located approximately 410 feet away from the westernmost limit of disturbance of the proposed land bank parking area. As such, they are outside of the jurisdiction of both the Riverhead CAC and the New York State DEC. I did note that the site plans do indicate a roughly 2,700 square foot wetland identified as Wetland A, which is shown on the site plan in a survey. It was delineated by JMO Environmental on December 21st, 2018. I did go out and do a site visit there. I took a reference point off the building and paced out approximately 210 feet to the location of that wetland. I did not see any standing groundwater or wetland vegetation that would indicate to me that there's any wetland. Again, I'm not going to represent myself to be a wetland professional. I did note that there was a slight depression or kettle hole in the ground. Wetland areas can change based on groundwater precipitation, so I personally did not find any real objections to that. I did note that they are still approximately 130 feet away if that wetland was present, but there's no negative impacts anticipated from the proposed land bank parking area.
The indication is that At some point, there may have been.
At some point, in December of 2018, an environmental consultant went out there and did flag a wetlands. Again, I did not see any indication of damp soils, standing water, any kind of wetland vegetation. I mean, it was bone dry when I went out there, and I like I said, surveyed the area pretty well, using a reference point off the building. Regarding emergency access, the site plan drawings and property survey indicate that there's a stone driveway around the rear of the building. You can see on page 7 of the report, I didn't see any stone driveway, and I don't know if it's just become overgrown over the years. I don't know if that was ever constructed. But they do propose, they're in the land bank parking plan, they do propose a 24-foot wide asphalt driveway around the back of that building. Based on the length of the building and the reuse, the potential for any kind of emergency access, staff does recommend that 24-foot wide driveway be constructed in the event any fire emergency needs to get to the access to the back of the building. Regarding parking, the applicant's design professional did calculate the parking based on the combined uses, and it requires a total of 184 parking stalls.
That's just for two though, right?
That's for all the uses. That's for the office use, for the warehousing and distribution use, as well as the firing range. The site plan currently shows a total of 104 improved parking stalls and a total of 94 land bank parking stalls, demonstrating the ability to construct 198 total parking stalls. There is a section of town code that does allow an applicant to provide land banked parking, but it would have to be built out upon subsequent findings by the board. Now, that code section also does state that the applicant must provide a minimum of 2/3 of the required parking. So based on the number of 184 required stalls, the applicant must provide a minimum of 122. So that's where we need some direction from the board as to where the board finds that those additional, I believe it's 18 stalls, would need to be provided in order to comply with that section. Also, regarding the land bank, the applicants would need to file a covenant on the property that would permit, upon subsequent finding from the board, that would require them to build out that additional parking area. In terms of handicap parking and accessibility, and as you can see in the overall site plan, the site plan proposes to convert an existing bank of parking stalls near the middle of the building into 5 handicap accessible parking stalls with accessible aisles. However, when you just look at the way the site's configured, anybody parking in those stalls would need to back out into Elton Street in order to exit the site. So being that there is sufficient room to provide parking in excess of town code, I recommend that area be eliminated and the handicap stalls be located elsewhere on the site. Additionally, there's some handicap accessibility issues that just need to be further clarified. For example, in Figure 10 in the staff report on page 9, there's an area where there's an existing concrete landing. The site plan just says sidewalk leading to existing landing. I don't know if it's intended to be a handicap accessible ramp. It's just something that needs to be further clarified by the applicant. If it is going to be a ramp to get up to that landing, they need to demonstrate that it's compliant with ADA requirements. There are screening and buffer requirements for commercial or business uses that adjoin a residential properties, which state there's a minimum required buffer of 10 feet in width, which shall be planted with evergreen shrubs that will attain a height of not less than 8 feet, as well as the requirements for a 6-foot chain link fence with stockade attached. Those buffer requirements can be modified by the town board. However, in their current, they would need to be provided because they're not identified on the site plan.
Might be a little premature to ask the question, but what are the hours of operation of the shooting range?
Just from 8 to 6.
It'll be 8 to 6? Are these the same people that had the one on further west?
Yes.
On Main Street? I mean,
No,
they.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
They were in West Hampton, I'm sorry, but not.
Okay, because I was just going to point out that the project will certainly bring a positive change to the neighborhood, because that place has been empty for years. And I don't remember on the print that there was any notation of them removing that trailer I mean, I'm sure all that's going, that years ago, that used to be a guard shack, I think. And then they converted, I think somebody was living in there, but that's been empty now for some time.
I'm not sure if that trailer is on our property or some other property, but we would be happy to move it, yes.
I think the trailer you're referring to, there's a little triangular piece of property.
Yep.
It's actually.
Is that
It's actually
separate?
it's actually a separate piece of property from the.
Really?
Yeah, from the site. That trailer actually, there was a fire there, so that trailer is currently unoccupied. It was burned out. I didn't even notice until I actually walked around and looked at it, but, yeah, that is a separate piece of property.
Yeah, years ago, that was, I thought they used that as a security, you know, in the evenings. But that'll be a positive change. This looks
We
pretty
we
nice.
could arrange to move it, we would be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. The only reason I was pointing out if it were the same individuals, since we went ahead and gave them that, we have absolutely no negative comments, you know, about that shooting range, so.
Well, this is entirely indoors.
Yes,
There's
I know,
no-
I know.
And the acoustics are such that we believe there'll be virtually no noise outside whatsoever.
There's been zero complaints, to my knowledge, so far about what's existing in a trailer, so
Yeah.
this has to be a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been to, anecdotally, I've been to indoor shooting ranges in other states where you can't hear, once you're outside the building, you can't hear them. And they're firing, all types of weapons.
Yeah, I visited myself.
A lot of the shooting is, because of the cost of munition and everything, is done with like lasers. Are you gonna have any of that kind of activities going on there?
I don't think they do. I don't know if the applicants here, they can explain better than me. Go ahead.
Can I answer you?
Please.
Yes, in addition to the live fire range, we also plan on having, I would say we, myself and my partner, Mark Berlin, we plan on having 270-degree surround virtual reality built for us by a company called Virtra, V-A-R, capital T-R-A, one word. They do this all over the place. There's one in Rodman's Neck that I know of. There's one in the basement of 26 Federal Plaza that I know of. And the advantage of it is, not only are they off-the-shelf training things from newbies to advanced shooters, but local police can have this company make custom-made videos. For example, they'll go into the local school.
Excuse me, I didn't realize you were going to speak so much. Would you mind going up to the podium and
Sure. Sorry.
letting us know exactly who you are?
My name is Anthony Niosi. I'm one of the two principals of the range proposal, my partner, as I said. And the company that is going to build this 270-degree surround, two people can use it at a time, is called Virtra, V-A-R-T-R-A. And the interesting thing about Virtra is while they have a library of stock scenarios that people can come in and practice with, they also can go to wherever, obviously only proprietary to police, they can make a bespoke situation. Let's say you're concerned about an active shooter situation in a local high school. So they can go in with these digital cameras and construct a virtual environment so the police would know, I'm making this up, I haven't been in any local schools, but when you go through the front door, you know, the cafeteria is on the left and the auditorium is on the right, whatever, so they can practice within an environment that they may find themselves actually in. It's kind of state-of-the-art stuff.
So it's actually like video screens,
Correct.
and you, okay, I understand.
Laser video screens, and it's to the point now where if a character in the video, you wear a vest, and if the character in the video gets the drop on you, you feel it in the vest. It's really a very high-tech training tool. So yes, we will have laser in that sense. Thank
While
you.
you're there, I have one question for you. I know that in your West Hampton facility that you have weapon sales there. Will there be weapon sales at this
Sales and
location?
rentals, yes.
And is that for strictly law enforcement and government?
No, we're in 07 FFL, which if you, can I expatiate for a minute? Like all federal licenses, there's a hierarchy, and ours is the penultimate level. So we can sell to military, law enforcement. In fact, when we started the company 5 years ago, that was our raison. And In fact, to this day, our largest customer is the Yonkers PD, but it doesn't mean we're restricted to selling to them. There are lower levels where you can only sell ammo, and then there's ones where you can only sell long guns, and so on and so forth. Very highly regulated by the ATF and the FBI. And the reason we're not in 08, which is the highest level, is that would entitle somebody to sell crew-served weapons, shoulder-fired missiles, landmines, not things you get a lot of call for in West Hampton Beach, so we pay a little less. Special occupation
Just to
tax.
clarify, you're not selling those. You're not selling shoulder.
No, we're in 07 FFL, not in 08. I was saying, I was trying to imply or have you infer, we could have been in 08.
No, I just want to
didn't say
clarify, I
we
don't want
couldn't.
anyone to be misquoted or,
There's something
shoulder
called a
fired
special
rockets and all
occupation
this.
tax, and every time you go up that ladder, you pay more and more. And we didn't want to pay the 08 tax because you don't have that much call for, claymores and things. So we're in 07 by choice,
Okay,
all right?
thank you very much for clarifying.
And so I did receive correspondence from Mr. Cuddy. The range will be open to the public. There will be different levels of membership. It will be open, like he said, to law enforcement for training, but it will be open to the public as well for, per diem use for a fee. So it is a public range. It's not like a private law enforcement training facility.
And it's all indoors.
All inside, correct.
Are they actually using firearms, or is it virtual?
Both.
Your
Both.
firearms?
Do both.
Both? I have a question then about the facility, the design facility, and how are you going to handle the lead? Okay, as far as the design of the building and the ventilation?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Berlin. I'm the second principal of the fire range proposal. So with lead remediation, there's a couple of things that we do. When you build a range, there's something called the bullet trap system that traps the projectiles, which is lead-based, goes into buckets. When those buckets get filled, they get sealed. They get taken away for recycling. Everything that's in our facility is going to be completely green. Brass gets picked up and recycled. The air that flows in to our facility is actually cleaner than the air that's outside of our facility. The systems that we're using are high-tech systems to really clean and keep a very safe inside environment.
You have scrubbers?
Excuse me?
Scrubbers?
Pretty much, they're high-tech scrubbers. They suck all the particulate up and in, goes into their vents. Their vents scrub it out, and then fresh air gets recirculated in.
Mark, you mentioned the cost of that.
Oh, those HVAC systems are roughly a little over $750,000. They're big systems.
It's all self-contained, and there's no outside discharge.
Correct. There'll be no lead particulate outdoors. All the lead gets contained within the facility in the back of the range bullet trap system. Again, when those buckets get filled, they get sealed. Once we have a certain amount of buckets, we call a lead company to come in. They come, they take our lead, they recycle it. Same goes with the brass.
Okay.
Another question, what facade improvements are you gonna make? Because the building's looking a little haggard.
Shoot, again.
Go ahead, explain.
It's all in there.
I don't know if you've seen the elevations or not, but the front elevation, if you're familiar with EFS?
Yep.
The building, some of the building is actually refrigerated, but most of the building doesn't have much insulation. So the EFS will provide some extra insulation and give us a nice finish. There'll be some scoring on it to give it a panel look. Some of the garage doors will be removed. Ones on the north side will be being removed and replaced with storefront glass.
Do you have a copy of the elevations there?
I do. This is the
There's a
large.
microphone on the table. No, that's it.
This is enlarged, so it's broken in pieces. But this is the three existing garage doors getting replaced with storefront glass. This is the area of the training facility. There's actually 4 garage doors that'll be full of glass. Some other new windows and ethos with the panel look to get the break.
The top elevation, that was the front.
Yeah, those are both, so, for intensive purposes, think of the building in 3 sections. You've got the south side, which is closer to Main Street, the center section, which is where those 5 handicap stalls are. And then you've got the northern portion of the building, which I don't think you're proposing any improvements, the steel, like the Morton-style building. I don't think you're proposing anything in that area. So it's really more the center portion and the southern eastern portion.
That middle part, that projection is actually has a stucco finish on it now. We may give it a color to match, but that stucco will probably stay. We continue to show the back as well. I don't know if we're gonna continue the ethos around the back, but it certainly will get an elastomeric finish on it. Depending on the cost, we may not be able to do the whole ethos look, the whole ethos treatment to it, but it will get an elastomeric finish to match.
Very good, thank you. I'm sorry, we keep interrupting.
No, that's all
Go
right.
ahead.
So just a couple of more things. The site lighting, they are proposing to update all the site lighting, maximum mounting height of 16 feet above grade, 3,000 degree Kelvin color temperature. As one of the recommended, the lighting fixtures are all dark sky. The one thing I recommended was on the land bank portion, which is adjacent to the Phillips Lane, that they could just put some rear shielding on that just to prevent any more light trespass, give those neighbors a little bit of reprieve from the lighting. Regarding the dumpster enclosure, the site plan identifies one dumpster enclosure for the site, which is located in the western land banked area. It's unclear if they're proposing to construct this now or later, but it appeared to be the only dumpster location on the property. So I think they just need to identify an additional area where they would provide a dumpster for, the center portion and the office portion, which must be screened in accordance with town code. Regarding curb cuts in town highway department, right now the site's served by 6 curb cuts. You've got a large curb cut serving the western portion, the warehousing area. You've got the one curb cut in the center of the building where those handicap stalls are. And then you've got 4 curb cuts serving the main parking lot closer to Main Street. They are going to consolidate those 4 curb cuts. They're going to make one curb cut to serve the office portion. They're going to widen the curb cut for the warehousing. And again, based on the board's direction and staff's recommendation, potentially
Going to be doing
eliminate.
the whole curbing in
Yeah.
front.
Yep, curbing, landscaping, street trees. They will need permits from the highway department. We received comments from the town engineer. We received comments from the sewer district. It's connected to the sewer district and it's currently hooked up. We received comments from the water district. They are currently served by a 2-inch domestic water line and 2 6-inch fire lines. Riverhead Water District had no further comments, and there's no further action on their part. Referred plans to the fire marshal, and the application is scheduled for the architectural review board next week on April 27th.
Are they in the sewer district there?
In the
Yeah.
sewer district, and they're connected.
The town engineer had a question about the infiltration systems. Was that for drainage? Is there a concern? Is there flooding?
So
On the
right now,
property?
the site plan application, it's a question of land disturbance. Town engineer looked at it, and he analyzed what would be the full build-out. Like I said, there is a lot of land bank parking on the north end of the building and on the west end of the building. The town engineer was looking in terms of what the potential build-out could be and the need for a SWIP. I believe the total disturbed area, if they were built out, was like
Over
90,
50,000 square feet.
a little over 50,000 square feet, which would
Would-
require a SWIP. So there's a whole litany of, requirements that go along with getting an approved SWIP, and I believe an infiltration test is one of them.
Is there going to be
If
any
I
food
could,
served facility?
Excuse me?
Food.
Food, is there going to be
No.
any food served there?
No, I don't believe
Restaurant
there's any
inside or
food
something?
served.
Accessory of this.
There were some things I wanted to address in the site memo, so I don't know.
All right.
I was waiting for you to finish your
Yeah,
report
yeah.
before you were interrupted.
I'm done, I'm tapping out for now.
It's a long one, thank you for it. So just a couple of things that I just wanted to highlight. So because the east end of the property, like 30,000 square feet of the building is a tenant to be determined, with initial conversations with planning, the discussion was to go with the most conservative use being office, so that the board could approve sort of that worst-case condition. The reality is, we probably won't have this whole thing as office, and so the need for all this land bank parking will most likely not be necessary. So one of the requests that we're gonna ask the board is that if this land bank parking is constructed, we'll be putting in the drainage for that. We will then be disturbing it and filing a SWIP if we disturb the 50,000 square feet. But under the conditions of what we're building today is the way we want to view this. So if we're disturbing maybe, to put it, for this road or whatnot, we might be disturbing 15,000 square feet, which wouldn't trigger the need for the SWIP or the infiltration test or the SWIP report and coverage under the notice of intent.
When you have the third tenant, you will come back to us.
So that, yes, I think we will have to. So some of the comments like the dumpster, the loading, not knowing who the tenant is and how their operation is gonna be makes it a little challenging. I can certainly put a dumpster on the east side, so we have that as a placeholder, but it may move depending on the tenant. In the same regard, the handicap access, and there is a ramp, I'll point it out to you, there's a landing and a ramp that kind of brings you up to that door. So I did provide the ADA access from those parking stalls to that entrance, but that may not be where their entrance is gonna be, and then their stall should be located, directly in front of their entrance. So, I guess I'd say some things are a little bit of a placeholder, in terms of that tenant and what's happening on the east side. The west side, where the tenants are set, we do have the trash enclosure over there. That is to serve both of those tenants, that will be constructed at this time. In regard to the fire access road, we're also gonna request that that be constructed with stone, so that it's pervious, so that we don't have to install drainage in the paved area. We'll ensure that it is adequate for the truck and stabilization. We'll check the fire code. I think it has to be 26-foot wide for the fire access road. So, put proper signage and so forth in accordance with the building code. So that is but we'd like that to be a stone drive, so that it's pervious and we don't have to add additional drainage. Similarly, like the fencing that's being asked in the back, when those parking stalls get constructed, we can put that fence up. There's no headlights pointing that way currently. It's pretty wooded back there, so adding evergreens doesn't make a lot of sense to me under that being an existing condition. Honestly, I'm not sure the fence is gonna do a whole lot either, but that's something I think we can concede to at the time we build the land bank parking. Let's see, in terms of building out the stalls, so the 2/3 of the parking required needs to be built. Again, not knowing that final required number may be decreased with that third tenant, so we would ask that we can just build what is shown right now, and not an additional 22. If we were to build those, at the board's discretion, my thought was on the east side to there's like a row of parking on the north side of the east parking lot, and that's where I was thinking we would start to build out. The area in the front with the ADA parking, I can understand the concern. Those were existing parking stalls, so the condition of a car backing out was always that way. Providing the handicap reduced the number, and in my opinion, they're like less frequently used, so you don't have that constant, backing out into the roadway. So I thought it was a good use of the space in converting them into the handicap. But if they need to be eliminated, we can certainly do that and move them elsewhere.
Well, I mean, what does the board think about the handicap stalls in the center of the building? If you look at the way the site's configured, I mean, she's right. It is a pre-existing condition. I mean, it's kind of always been like that. I just wait to see someone backing out and someone get T-boned
I'm just
backing out.
concerned about the traffic light being right there.
It is pretty decent ways away from the traffic light. You probably, probably like 400 or 500 feet away from that traffic light.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, from that intersection. So it's not like it'd be an imminent danger of someone coming around the curve, but again, just something to consider as a recommendation if the board's all right with it. I mean, it is an existing condition, so. And to the, requirement of, future, I personally have no problem with, just doing a stone driveway in the back just to give, emergency access. Again, at the time, if they do build out, she is right in our conversations, we did say, provide a conservative, parking calculation to see what the worst-case scenario is. I mean, if they get a different tenant in there that doesn't require such an intense parking use, it would really eliminate the need for most of those land bank parking
Right.
stalls. So, no objection to that. And again, the town code does allow the board to permit land banked parking, so I would have no issue with that.
Are you eliminating the center section, then to the south of the center section, there's a door, there's an overhead door. Are you going to keep that door active? Will that remain an active door?
No, overhead, like as a loading?
What I remember from your plans, you're eliminating that. So why not put the handicapped in there?
There are some handicap over there.
Well, that's in the
For that
front, but
tenant.
on the side, did you already put them in on the side? I don't remember from the drawings that I read. You know what I'm talking
They
about,
can,
right?
I'm sorry, can I?
Just talking about, this is the center section, here's the door you eliminate, what about in here?
Well, so this is actually like the eastern, like this is the section closest to Main Street.
Yeah,
Right.
So that's in this vicinity over here. Where the handicap parking is in this center section, and then there's a couple of stalls over here in front of the range
yeah.
section.
So those 5 are for that
Yeah, all right, yeah,
tenant.
they're split up, yeah, okay.
And, we did improve the parking lot quite a bit on the east side with the addition of all the landscaping, the 10-foot strip, the reduction of all the curb cuts, a lot more landscaping.
Looks good.
I mean, this is something that's, the reuse of vacant buildings is something that's come up
Everybody keeps
consistently for the
asking
comp
for
plan,
it.
so to get some life breathed back into the site and clean it up.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with it.
Yep.
And they go to ARB?
They're going, down to 27.
Okay, well, I'm good, everybody?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For the rest of your
Some of
day.
those questions, would I finalize that with you?
Yeah,
Like,
give me a call, we'll talk.
Okay.
You want to keep any?
No, it's all right, okay.
Let's move on to Calverton Industrial Subdivision. Thank you.
Okay, if we could just, if you're gonna meet, if we could just do that out in the hall, so we can finish up the meeting. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's all right, thank you. All right, so this is just a quick update on the secret status for the Calverton Industrial Subdivision, also known as OSTAD subdivision. The applicant for that project submitted their draft scope on March 29th. Upon submission of that draft scope, it started, a secret time clock. The planning board has 60 days to adopt a final scope to be used for the preparation of the draft environmental impact statement. What we have today on the board's resolution calendar is a resolution to schedule a public hearing on that draft scope document. That public hearing would be at the May 5th meeting at 6 p.m. At that point, we would open the floor to the public for comments on that draft scope document. I will also have comments from just staff review that we will incorporate. From then, the board would adopt a final scope, and that would be done at the May 19th meeting. The applicant would then take that final adopted scope and use that for the preparation of their draft environmental impact statement. The availability of the draft scope was posted in the New York State DEC's Environmental News Bulletin on April 13th. It was distributed to involved agencies on April 6th. So that's just quick status of the time frame. Again, not providing comments on the draft scope right now. I'll do that at the May 5th meeting. But that's sort of our immediate timeline for the secret review.
Perfect, thank you.
It was distributed to all the applicants. They had no objection to the time frame. So.
Good, thanks.
5-5.
We will now move on to Peconic Farms major subdivision.
All right, so we have this is a continued discussion for a major subdivision application of a 9.5 acre parcel located on Peconic Bay Boulevard in Laurel, New York. Property is located within the RA 40 zoning use district. The board's kind of been wrestling around with this one for quite some time, trying to establish a acceptable yield. The applicant did submit a revised yield map. The last we were here was the beginning of March. Applicant submitted a 7-lot as-of-right yield map. We referred that to the town's consulting engineer. He had reviewed the as-of-right yield map and found the yield map to be acceptable. And he recommended, that the planning board now, in terms of our town code and procedure, would select a preferred sketch plan.
That'll come later.
What's that?
That will come later, the schedule.
Well, so the sketch plan, so
Well, that's the plan.
we have a resolution to approve the as-of-right yield map. Now, that is not approving a subdivision, that's not approving a preliminary plat, it's just identifying that you met the requirements of the town code in terms of lot size, areas reserved for stormwater, roadway improvements and infrastructure. So there's a resolution to approve a 7-lot as-of-right yield map. The applicant did provide, there's 3 plans now that the board has. There's what's called the standard cluster, there's the standard cluster flag lots, and the yield map. For intents and purposes of the town code, they can be considered 3 alternative sketch plans, the as-of-right, the flag cluster, and then the standard cluster. In terms of preferred designs, it would be, the board's discretion to select their preferred design. Speaking from staff's point of view, the yield map, the as-of-right yield map would result in elimination of wooded areas, the existing vegetation at the southeast end of the property. The standard cluster with the flag lots just presents issues in terms of roadway and maintenance, and you have to do access easements. So the preferred design would probably be the standard cluster. The standard cluster does show 6 lots. So in that cluster, they've taken themselves out of the requirement to comply with the Long Island Workforce Housing Act. If they have a 7-lot as-of-right yield map, if they reduce that yield, they do not need to provide any affordable housing units on the subdivision property. So the standard cluster would allow them to preserve a large portion of that wooded, vegetated area in the southeast corner of the property. It would reduce the amount of disturbance. They do have a roughly 43,000 square foot drainage parcel and a 188,000 square foot open space parcel on that standard cluster.
I'm much happier with this.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing was, Vinnie Gaudiello was getting his sign off on the yield map. Some of the other yield, there was some engineering stuff that they were working out. Like I said, the 7-lot as-of-right yield map that they've demonstrated, Vinnie did sign off on it, which we do have a resolution to approve, and then the board would select their sketch plan. Secret is typically not done until preliminary plat, where you get a yield map, select your preferred sketch, and then you provide a preliminary plat. Preliminary plat contains all the engineering details to see what the actual proposal is and what they're proposing to build.
The fire hydrant idea, that fire hydrant, it was originally in the plan?
We would incorporate a fire hydrant into the water main design, yes.
Still in the plan?
Yes.
Yeah, so the preliminary plat, there is a provision of the code which it gets referred to the attendant fire district. I believe this would be a Jamesport Fire District, so Upon submission of a preliminary plat, it would get referred out. There would likely have to be a fire hydrant in the cul-de-sac. When we get to the preliminary plat, there may be some tweaks that are done to the right-of-way. It'll have to meet fire code. In its current status, it would never be able to be dedicated to the town. It's not shown as a town right-of-way. Road width wouldn't comply. But if it's gonna be maintained as a private road, it'll just be covenanted as such.
It's going to be a private road, Tom?
Yes, private road.
So
The only question I have, Greg, could be a moot point, is that we're voting on a 7-lot.
as a right yield, correct.
That's right. So we seem to be preferring one. I know we're not there yet, but this doesn't show 7. Does there have to be any notation made in this?
When we approve a sketch plan, I would note that. I mean, we have,
Okay,
you know,
'cause-
they could, for all intents and purposes, they could shrink these lots down and show
Right.
7 clustered lots.
Okay.
I agree, it does kind of,
They have just, again, a moot point, I just, because the
Then they have to do
resolution,
workforce
the
housing.
revolution says specifically 7.
which is, yeah, as of right, yeah. So, I mean, and we don't have a resolution to approve a sketch plan.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, if they did try to move forward with 7 lots, what would be, in order to comply with the Long Island Workforce Housing Act, they would actually get an addition, they would get a density bonus, so you'd really be looking at 8 lots, with one of those, the additional lot being reserved for affordable housing. By removing the 7th lot, they don't have to provide that.
So the road's gonna be a private road, is it gonna be an association, or?
There would have to be an HOA, there would have to be an HOA established to maintain the open space parcel.
Okay, so the town's not gonna be plowing or maintaining the road?
It should
Strictly
not,
private.
Absolutely not.
It
If
won't
it's,
be
if it's
built
not,
to
if
town
it's not
spec.
designed to town standards and the town's not gonna undertake the road,
Town spec.
it should absolutely be not maintained.
We're not gonna build a 28-foot wide road,
Right.
but the road that we do build will be built to town spec.
I'm sorry, I don't think that we
We're ready
got your
for it.
name on record, just.
Ready
Thomas
for the sketch
Wolpert,
plan.
engineer with Young and Young.
Thank you, just had to put it out there. so.
Yes, appreciate that.
So we can proceed with the sketch plan?
So the resolution approves the as-of-right yield, and then the board can select its preferred sketch design. Staff's recommendation would be the standard cluster, as it, like I said, serves to preserve as much open space as possible.
Tom, is there a reason why you didn't want to go, why you want to go private? Is that the applicant's decision?
The intent of the applicant to establish a family enclave.
You're going to put a gate down?
Electrical fence.
Okay,
Thank
I'm good.
So is the board's preferred design for this, is it the standard cluster would be the desirable?
That would be
I
mine.
like
sketch?
Yeah, right.
moves everything a little back from East Creek, makes sense.
And I'll just make sure, I'll reach out to Vinnie, I'll just see if I can get comments on the standard cluster. And if the board deems it appropriate, we can move forward after the next meeting with the sketch. And then you'd move on to preliminary plat.
Very good. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your time today. That's gonna be their problem when they go to purchase. Okay,
Horizon Gang is here.
Are we going?
all right, we have Verizon Wireless on Riverhead 4 with Matt Waters.
How are you? Don't want to get too bogged down in the details on this. This is pretty straightforward. It's an equipment swap on the existing tower, 98 feet tall. It's accessed off Sound Shore Road. I guess that's Northville, by the Northville site. So what they're doing here is they're taking down 15 existing antennas, replacing them with 12 new antennas, taking down 6 RRHs, and installing 9 new ones. In terms of secret, this is unlisted. I'm recommending the board assume lead agency without coordinated review and issue a neg deck. There's 3 things we really look at on these equipment swaps. The first is the RF analysis report. which is regular frequency. 2 is the structural analysis, which is the tower itself, and the last is the mounting analysis, which is the actual mount that the equipment goes on. The structural analysis and the mount analysis were good. Those were both reviewed by an engineer. The proposed work, the existing infrastructure can handle the proposed work. And then in terms of the RF report, for permissible exposure for the private sector, this is to be 0.5%, so for an individual, and then 0.1% for occupational hazard, so it's very safe.
The antennas enclosed in that, is it a monopole?
No, it's a monopole, but they're on the outside, it's not a stealth tower. If you know the location, if you're heading north on Northwood Turnpike, make a right, you can see it from the Sound Avenue right away.
Where's the entrance to the site?
They come off Sound Shore Road, so I believe there's a deeded access. If you look in.
Sound Shore, I'm looking at
Sound
your
Shore,
sketch, that's what I'm trying to figure
yeah.
out.
So if you
From
look.
the north.
Yep, comes down from the north, and then they come down the flag strip, and it's that, I guess that's the southeast corner of the site, is where it is, it's pretty small enclosure. So I do have a
On the west side, is that not another access road though?
I believe so, but I believe it's for the property to the west.
The north road?
Yeah. There's a lot of farms around there. So I do have a resolution prepared to assume lead agency and issue a neg deck, and then an administrative approval with the condition that a post-construction analysis of the mounting strut and installation should be performed by a licensed engineer, that the completed work complies with the plans.
I think we're all set. Thank you. Okay, do we have any public comments on the resolutions? No? I guess we will move on to the resolutions.
I'll move resolution number 32 for Carl Gabrielson for chapter 219, so moved.
Second?
Vote please, Bear.
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Yes.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
Resolution 33, Caldwell Industrial Subdivision. Sets date for a public scoping session for a draft scope to be used for preparation of a draft environmental impact statement for subdivision application seeking approval to subdivide approximately 130.9 acres. Land located in Middle Country Road, Carrollton.
Second motion?
Vote please, Bear.
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Yay.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
I'll move 34, Verizon Wireless, to classify an action pursuant to SECRA and assume lead agency and issue a negative declaration. So moved.
Second?
Vote please, Bear.
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Yes.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
I'll move resolution number 35, Peconic Farms Major Subdivision, approving a residential subdivision sketch plan.
Yield map.
Yield map, sorry.
Second motion?
Vote please, Bear.
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Yes.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
Resolution 36, 48 Third Street Townhomes, resolution granting preliminary site plan approval for a site plan application to approve or construct two-story, 4-unit townhouse development with related site improvements located at 48 Third Street, Manhattan, Riverdale.
I'll second it.
Vote please, Bear.
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
Numbers.
I'll move resolution numbers 37 for 1792 Middle Road, Breezy Hill application. The resolution adopting a negative findings pursuant to the SEQA regulations.
Second motion?
Vote please, Bear.
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
I'll move resolution 38, 1792 Middle Road, to deny a preliminary site plan application. So moved.
Second motion?
Vote please, Bear.
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye. Okay, do we have any public comments on all matters? Any other business?
And move the minutes of the
No?
May 5th meeting? So moved? No.
There is none. We don't have none.
Oh, okay.
May 5th is next week.
Okay,
Gotcha.
all right.
I'm shocked.
Thank you for coming today. Our next meeting is Thursday, May 5th at 6 PM. And we have a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting closed.